Hey everybody, I have just a few minutes, but I had to come on and talk to you guys about this post that I saw recently and the fallout that has happened since with this post. So the image is of a little boy crying, and in front of him is this beautiful matchstick bird that looks like a cardinal. And there's this whole narrative that is apparently written by his mother, big backstory about how he's come home from school and eventually burst into tears. And the story goes that he's been bullied and some kids tried to crush it. And a couple of times within this narrative, this app is mentioned, and the fact that his mom is on this crafters app and he wanted to be just like her when he grows up and be on this crafters app, and he was hoping that kids at his school would say wow, and they tried to crush it, and now his spirit is crushed and all this stuff. So everybody's going crazy in the comments about, oh my goodness, this poor child, encouraging the kid, and oh, it's a beautiful bird. And the first second that I looked at it, it was tugging at my heartstrings too. But immediately I started getting that ping, like there's something off here. So I'm looking at the comments and I'm figuring out what is going on as I read the narrative. Hi, Jacqueline. And this app is mentioned a couple of times in this narrative. So, my spidey senses are going off at this point. I start reading the comments and they're just like, out of 30 comments, there might be one that says, this is AI. This is a fake story. This is a false narrative. And what I really found interesting was that people were attacking the few people who were calling this out as a fake, as a narrative, as an AI image. So there were a couple of things that just logically didn't add up. First of all, the bird looked perfect. It didn't look like a 6-year-old, which is what the story said, had put it together. And even if he had been this virtuoso of matchstick creations and been able to put it together, if a few kids tried to crush it, it wouldn't still look perfect. So I did some research and I looked on a quick Google search, and sure enough, there is a place where you can buy for $3 an AI prompt that will give you awesome looking matchstick animal images. Okay. So this is a thing. So it's an AI generated image, probably an AI generated child. If it was a real child, maybe they have a picture of a child crying that they put with this, but the narrative was absolutely made up, and it was absolutely a device to get eyes on this app that they mentioned twice in this narrative. So I'm just really blown away by how much emotion and controversy and arguments are happening because of this post that is in effect an advertisement for this app. People are like bringing up their own stories about bullying and their children, and a lot of people are getting very upset about the story. Some people were ready to send, the mob after the teacher that allowed this to happen, which is, there's probably no teacher whatsoever anywhere near this story. Just an incredible amount of emotion going back and forth. And like I said, the really concerning thing was that every once in a while in the comments, you would have somebody calling this out as a false narrative, and people were being attacked for saying so. So what is that in our human nature that, when somebody brings it to our attention that we've been hoodwinked, the first impulse is to attack the person who is showing the truth that is, exposing the falsehood. And where have I seen that happen before? Deja vu a little bit there. So I did a little experiment and I showed the post to my daughter, and she's 14. She looks at it. She's like, wait, why are you showing me this? This is so sad. And I'm like, I just want to see what you think about it. Sure enough, she gets like 2 paragraphs in and she's like, wait a minute. And she starts, she's like, this has got to be AI. And she right away understood what was going on. So I was glad to see that, but I'm also concerned that so many people don't understand the capability now that is out there with AI. I've been looking into it recently. I just put a blog post in here in the last few days about a conversation that I had with AI. I have very mixed feelings. I know that it can be useful in circumstances, but there are lots of dangers, and this is one of them, that it can be used to promote a false narrative and even create like social proof around it and make you think there are hundreds of people that agree with a particular perspective, when in fact it can be just AI generated false voices. Excuse me. So for those of you who are not familiar with what AI can do and the types of images that it can create now and the conversations that it can come out with, do some research. And when you see something in the media or social media that is tugging at your heartstrings or producing an emotional reaction, take a moment, do some research before you react, and let your gut tell you what the truth is. I'll talk to you guys soon.